I knew something was off the second we walked into the ballroom and no one looked at me. Dana strutted in like she owned the place, blowing kisses, hugging her mom, her sister, a few local news anchors. I stood behind her like a damn valet, clutching the gift bag we picked out the night before. People brushed past me like I wasn't even there. Then I saw it, the sign-in board near the entrance. Family only check-in. 2 lines, one for general guests, one for Whitmore family and VIPs. I figured they were just being dramatic. But when we reached the table, the hostess didn't even look up from her clipboard when I gave her my name. She scanned the list. "I'm sorry, you're not on the family list." I blinked. "I'm her husband." Dana laughed. Too loud. Fake as hell. "Oh my God, Mason, chill. It's just a stupid list. Dinners for family only." That last part? She looked me dead in the eyes when she said it. I didn't say a word. My hand went to my pocket. I pulled out the ring, her grandmother's family ring, the one she begged me to keep safe for the night. I set it down on the edge of the white linen welcome table. "I'm done." She froze. "Mason, stop." I turned. "Mason!" she called again, louder this time. People around us turned their heads. I didn't look back. I walked out the doors while every eye in the room followed me like I just set off a bomb. Her mom looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Sabrina had her phone up, probably texting Colton. Even the server carrying a tray of shrimp skewers paused like he didn't know whether to offer me one or duck for cover. I didn't run. I didn't slam the door. I just walked. Steady, straight, hands in my pockets. My name's Mason Trent. I'm 34. I live in Durham, North Carolina. I've been married to Dana Whitmore Trent for 5 years, and apparently, I've also been the town charity case this whole damn time. Quick note. Before we go on, share which city or country you're watching from. The cab driver didn't ask questions, just turned up the radio and let me sit with my thoughts. That was probably for the best, because if I'd opened my mouth right then, I might have said something I couldn't take back. That launch party wasn't just about Sabrina's latest rebrand. It was a full-blown Whitmore parade. And if there's one thing that family knows how to do, it's put on a show. See, Dana's parents don't just run a media company in Raleigh. They are the media in Raleigh. Local papers, radio stations, a digital ad agency, even a handful of regional TV affiliates, all under Whitmore Communications Group. Her dad, Curtis, keeps his face out of the spotlight, but make no mistake, he's the one pulling strings behind the scenes. Deals, sponsorships, hush-hush donor events. All clean on paper, but I've seen enough shady handshakes over golf games to know better. And then there's Celine. Celine Whitmore is what you'd get if you crossed Oprah with a bottle of hairspray and a superiority complex. She hosts a regional morning show called Carolina Forward that airs in 6 counties and runs reruns every weekend like anyone cares. Every episode is the same. Local food trucks, motivational guests, and Celine nodding along like she's the one who invented empathy. People love her, the ones who don't actually know her. She walks into a room like she's royalty and talks to waitstaff like they're furniture. And the way she looked at me from day one, like Dana had brought home a rescue mutt she was trying to pass off as a purebred. "You clean up all right?" she told me once at Thanksgiving. "Just don't speak during dinner. We don't need farm talk over the sweet potatoes." No joke. She said that. Sabrina's no better. Actually, she's worse. Younger by 4 years, never worked a real job, just floated from one trend to another. Right now, she's a clean living influencer. Next month, she'll be a wellness coach or a travel consultant or some other title that means nothing. Her blog pulls in enough ad money to keep her in designer yoga pants. But everyone in the family pretends she's a rising mogul. She posts pictures of her workday, which is usually her drinking overpriced green juice with captions like Monday mood, manifesting deals and detoxing vibes. I once asked her what she actually sells. She just blinked and said, "Exposure." Sabrina's engaged to Colton Carruthers. Of course she is. His dad's a sitting senator, and his mom's family owns a string of luxury golf resorts from Georgia to Maryland. He's the type who wears boat shoes to dinner and introduces himself with his full name like he's giving a press conference. They fit together like brand logos on a shopping bag. They all act like I'm some landscaper Dana forgot to pay. They pat me on the back when I speak like I'm trying so hard to be relatable. I could say something halfway intelligent about crop rotation or global food supply chains, and Celine would turn to Dana and say, "Well, isn't that cute? He's so passionate about tractors." For the record, I don't work with tractors. I'm an agricultural consultant. I manage high-yield crop systems and advise clients across 4 states. It's a damn good living, one I built myself without a family empire propping me up. But because I don't wear pocket squares or know which fork is for shellfish, they treat me like I'm lucky to be in the room. And Dana? She never really fought that. At first, I thought she was just trying to keep the peace. But over time, it started to feel like she believed it too. That she'd lifted me like dating outside the country club made her edgy. The truth? I was just the rough draft before she finalized her real image. Funny thing is, Dana wasn't always like that. Or maybe she was and I just didn't see it. We met at a fundraiser in downtown Raleigh, one of those silent auction nights where people pretend to care about charity while drinking top-shelf wine. I was only there because my buddy's wife dragged us both to it. Dana was working the event, clipboard in hand, helping some local nonprofit raise money for youth agriculture programs. She was in flats, not heels. Her hair in a messy bun, not some magazine blowout. She smiled like a regular person, rolled her eyes at the rich couples trying to outbid each other on spa weekends. We talked about collard greens and barbecue joints that didn't use gas smokers, and how she used to hike Pilot Mountain with her dad before he passed. She laughed at my sarcasm, said I was refreshingly blunt. I thought she meant it. Back then, she was the first Whitmore I met who felt human. Said she was taking time off from the family business to do something real for a while. She didn't have that rehearsed shine yet. She didn't interrupt people mid-sentence or flash a fake smile every time a camera showed up. We started dating the next week. She liked that I had dirt under my fingernails. Said I kept her grounded. We'd go walking at Umstead Park on Sundays, or cook together in my tiny apartment kitchen. Nothing fancy. Skillet cornbread, catfish, whatever I had time to throw together after work. She didn't complain. The Whitmores didn't say much at first. Distant but polite. Her mom made backhanded comments about my flannel shirts. Curtis shook my hand like I was applying for a seasonal job. Sabrina was still in college and barely looked up from her phone. But Dana started making little changes. First it was my clothes. "Just for dinner," she said, handing me a blazer I'd never seen before. Then it was my hair. "Let's try something more polished." Next thing I knew, she was teaching me which glass to use for white wine, which napkin fold looked more formal. At first I thought it was love. People compromise, right? You make a little effort, you adapt, you don't sweat the small stuff. But every change made me feel smaller. When I brought it up, she'd say, "You look amazing," or "I'm just helping you be your best." She wasn't yelling or pushing. She was smiling, smoothing it over, making it sound like a favor. Then the wedding happened. Scratch that, Celine's wedding happened. I wanted something simple. Backyard, real food, live band. My friends playing guitar, my uncle smoking brisket. But once Celine got involved, the whole thing turned into a production. Venue got moved to a waterfront estate in Wilmington, catered by some French place that served appetizers you needed Google Translate to understand. My guest list got streamlined, which meant most of my friends didn't make the cut, and my family treated like they were on staff. I'll never forget the look on my cousin Ben's face when he showed up and got handed a valet badge by mistake. The wedding planner thought he worked there. Dana brushed it off. "It was just a mix-up, babe. Don't ruin the day." She looked beautiful. I won't lie about that. Dressed like something out of a bridal magazine, hair curled to perfection, smiling like the lead actress in her big scene. I stood next to her thinking, this must be what people mean by marrying up. I didn't realize until later that up meant leaving half of myself behind. After the wedding, Dana never went back to work. She said she needed time to settle into being a Whitmore wife, like it was a damn career path. One day she was filing grant applications and bringing home leftover bake sale cookies. The next, she was getting blowouts on Wednesdays and brunching with women who carried designer dogs instead of purses. Meanwhile, I was up at 5 every morning, driving out to farms and facilities across North Carolina. My work didn't stop because her last name changed. The mortgage sure as hell didn't. We bought a nice house in Durham. Not huge, not flashy, just clean lines and a good backyard. I paid the down payment myself. She picked the furniture all white and sterile, like a magazine spread. I didn't care. I figured marriage was about give and take. Turned out I was the only one doing the giving. Every Sunday we drove to her parents' estate. Celine called them family dinners. But they were more like slow, painful autopsies with me on the table. "Still wearing those boots, Mason?" her mom would ask, smiling like she wasn't insulting me. "I told him to try loafers," Dana would say, laughing just enough to keep the peace. Curtis would nod at me like I was an intern. Sabrina would scroll through her phone, maybe glance up to comment on my shirt or haircut like I was a kid at a school assembly. It wasn't a dinner table. It was a firing squad. Dana always played middleman. She'd grab my hand under the table, leaning close after Celine left the room and whisper, "Just ignore her, babe. She does it to everyone." But she never actually told them to stop. Never said, "He's my husband, show some respect." She didn't defend me. She smoothed me over. I started to feel like background noise in my own marriage. Just part of the set. A decent-looking guy who kept the lights on and smiled when spoken to. One night, after dinner, I offered to help with the dishes. Sabrina raised an eyebrow and said, "That's cute. You don't have house staff?" I looked at Dana. She just sipped her wine. I stopped offering after that. At home, things weren't much better. Dana had a calendar full of charity galas, fashion previews, media mixers. I'd come home late from work and find her watching makeup tutorials on the couch, or FaceTiming with her Pilates coach from L.A. When I asked her how her day went, she'd say, "Busy," like I hadn't just driven 3 hours through back roads, climbing into grain silos, negotiating contracts, trying to make sure some third-generation farm didn't get eaten alive by developers. I paid every bill. I fixed the busted water heater. I mowed the lawn and cleaned the gutters. She redecorated the guest bedroom 3 times in a year. I kept thinking, maybe if I worked harder, stayed patient, showed up. Maybe if I dressed the way she liked or bit my tongue at dinner or let her mom call me country chic without flinching, I'd finally belong. But the more I tried, the more it felt like she was polishing me up just enough to display, then shoving me back in the closet when company came. I wasn't her partner. I was her prop. And somewhere between the catered Sunday dinners and the $100 candles she bought for ambience, I realized I wasn't building a life. I was maintaining an image. Her image. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and I should have been at a client site in Chatham County going over soil runoff reports. Instead, I was parked at the edge of a mahogany conference table inside some overpriced co-working loft downtown, because Dana insisted I show support for Sabrina's product launch. They were renting out a historic mansion in Chapel Hill for it. No expense spared. The Whitmores never planned anything. They curated experiences. And apparently, my presence was supposed to be part of the aesthetic. Sabrina was at the head of the table with her laptop open but untouched, scrolling through her phone with one hand and sipping some milky lavender drink with the other. Dana sat to her left, hair curled, notebook open, scribbling absolutely nothing. Celine walked in 10 minutes late, of course, dressed like a campaign manager and carrying a binder thicker than a church Bible. I tried to actually contribute. "You got vendors booked for AV setup? I know a guy who..." Laughter. Actual open-mouthed laughter. Sabrina turned to Dana and said, "Oh my God, is he serious?" I looked at Celine. She gave me a practiced smile. "Mason, sweetie, this isn't really a spreadsheet affair. It's more of a taste thing." "I wasn't talking about flowers or lighting colors," I said. "I meant logistics, budget, coordination." Sabrina didn't even look up. "Yeah, see? People like Colton's parents wouldn't get Mason, and vice versa. So let's not force the whole DIY energy into the main event." Dana reached over and patted my arm like I just tried to read out loud in a foreign language. "Just blend in, babe. You don't have to fix everything." Right there, that moment, it landed. I wasn't supposed to be useful. I was supposed to be present but quiet. Handsome but not involved. Smiling but small. I'd been scripted from the start. The scene had been written. My character had lines, maybe 3. I was the silent husband in the corner. Someone they could point at when convenient and ignore when it mattered. I leaned back in the chair and stopped talking. For the next 40 minutes, they went on about signature cocktails, floral installations, ambient lighting, scent-matching perfume samples, and whether the goodie bags should include crystals or custom-engraved water bottles. None of it made sense, and nobody questioned the budget. They talked like money printed itself. Celine said, "Colton's mother will expect elegance, not rustic." She said rustic like it had mold on it. Dana giggled. Sabrina said, "We're going for aspirational, not accessible." I looked around the table and realized I could have been a chair for all they cared. By the time we wrapped, Dana was flipping through swatches and Celine was barking orders at someone on her phone about glassware rentals. Sabrina walked out ahead of everyone, like she was the damn mayor. As we headed to the car, Dana said, "Thanks for coming. I know this stuff isn't your thing." "It could have been," I said, "if I were allowed to actually contribute." She gave me that tired smile. "Mason, sometimes it's not about being useful. It's about showing up." I nodded, but inside something cracked. Showing up? I'd been showing up for 5 years, and all they ever wanted was for me to shut up and stay in my damn box. Launch day started like a job interview I didn't ask for. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, shaving with surgical focus, wondering why I cared so much. I hadn't spent this much time getting ready since our wedding, and back then, I was just trying not to sweat through the collar. Today, I was dressing for war. Not to win, just to survive it. The suit was charcoal gray, tailored last year, solid fabric, clean lines. I'd worn it to a few conferences, looked damn good in it too, but now it felt second-rate. I adjusted the tie 3 times before Dana finally walked in. She looked like she was headed to the Emmys. Hair swept up, makeup airbrushed, gold earrings that caught the light when she turned her head. The dress was this deep emerald satin thing that hugged her in all the right places. I stared for a second too long and she caught it. "Try not to look surprised," she said, half smiling. "I'm not. You look good." She walked past me and started going through my jacket sleeves, brushing lint that wasn't there. "Just remember the rules tonight," she said, soft but firm. "No politics, no sarcasm. Keep it light. Don't talk too much. And no handshakes if you're holding a drink." "Anything else?" I asked. "Yeah, don't go too casual. This crowd's different. This crowd. Like I wasn't part of it. Like I never was." She pulled back, gave me a once-over, then said, "You'll be fine. Just blend in, babe." Then she kissed my cheek like she was clocking in. I stood there watching her walk out the room, heels clicking down the hallway. And all I could think was, I'm not a man tonight. I'm an accessory. A prop in Sabrina's influencer fantasy. We got in the car. I drove, of course. She was too focused on her reflection to watch the road. The sky was turning orange as we headed down the highway toward the mansion. This place that probably cost more per night than most folks' yearly rent. She scrolled through her phone while I gripped the steering wheel tighter with every mile. "You're quiet," she said finally. "Just focused on the road." I lied. But the truth was crawling up my chest and settling in my throat. The dread wasn't new. It had been building for months. But tonight, it finally had a name. This was the last straw. Somewhere between her saying just blend in and me buttoning a collar that suddenly felt like a chokehold, I realized I didn't want to be there. Not at that party. Not in that suit. Not in that car with her sitting inches away, looking like a stranger I used to know. And definitely not in a life where every room I entered came with rules on how not to embarrass the woman I married. We pulled up to the venue just before sunset. This massive historic mansion wrapped in string lights and fake smiles. There was a red carpet, velvet ropes, and 2 photographers stationed near the entrance like they were covering an award show. Dana stepped out like royalty, heels hitting the pavement like drumbeats. I climbed out behind her, adjusted my jacket, and followed her up the stone steps. The closer we got, the tighter my chest felt. Inside, everything smelled like champagne and too much perfume. White floral centerpieces on every table, gold name cards, branded napkins with Sabrina's face and the words "Reclaim Radiance" stamped across them like it was a political campaign. We walked up to the check-in table. There were two lists, Whitmore family and sponsors on one clipboard, and general admission on the other. I gave my name. The hostess froze, scanned the list, flipped a page, then looked up with the kind of smile people use when they're about to embarrass you. "I'm sorry, you're not listed under the family section." I blinked. "I'm her husband." Dana stepped in, smooth as ever. "It's fine. He can just head to general. This part's for real family." She said it without blinking, without flinching, without even lowering her voice. Real family. The words landed like a slap across the face. I stood there for a second, wondering if anyone else had heard it. They had. A few heads turned. Someone cleared their throat. But Dana didn't look at me. She was already air-kissing Sabrina's cheek and posing for the cameras. The hostess gave me that pity smile again and pointed toward the back. I walked, past the velvet rope, past the chandeliers and the champagne tower, past the seated area with custom nameplates and plated hors d'oeuvres. I was shown to a half-lit space near the rear entrance. Folding chairs, high-top tables, a sad little buffet line with lukewarm sliders and a punch bowl. No centerpieces, no servers, just a laminated sign that said, "General Guests." I sat at a table with two interns and some guy who sold luxury candles. They made small talk while I kept my jaw clenched. I could still hear the live jazz playing in the next room. I could see Dana laughing under the chandeliers. Champagne in hand, shoulder to shoulder with VIPs. She didn't look my way once. Someone tapped my shoulder. A server with a clipboard. "Apologies, sir. Looks like you're not on the dinner service list." I didn't respond. I just nodded and waved him off. That's when it hit me. This wasn't some oversight. This wasn't Dana being forgetful or the event planner messing up. This was planned. They wanted me there, but not with them. Visible but excluded. Seen but silenced. A supporting actor who didn't get a speaking role. I looked down at my untouched glass of punch. I looked across the room at my wife, dressed in emerald, glowing, laughing, clinking glasses with Sabrina and Colton and every person who had ever looked through me. And I knew, this was never about family. This was never about love. It was a brand, and I didn't fit the packaging. I sat in that damn folding chair, legs stiff, hands locked in my lap like I was trying to hold myself together. From across the ballroom, I could see Dana under the chandeliers, laughing that fake breathy laugh she saved for people with money or cameras. She tilted her head back and twirled her champagne glass like she was in a perfume commercial. And hanging from her neck, plain as day, was my mother's locket. The same locket I gave her the night before our wedding. The one she said made her feel connected to the real me. It was the only thing of my mom's I still had, and Dana wore it tonight like it was just another damn accessory. Something to add a little rustic charm to her curated image. A soft voice pulled me out of the rage boiling behind my ribs. "Excuse me, sir," a server whispered, leaning in. "Just to clarify, you're not on the dinner service list. But feel free to enjoy the beverage station." I looked up at him. He was just a kid, probably terrified I'd make a scene. I nodded once and said, "No problem." He walked away fast, probably grateful I didn't throw a chair. That's when the switch flipped. Not loud, not messy, just final. I reached into the inside pocket of my jacket and pulled out the ring. Her grandmother's ring, the same one she made me promise to keep safe for the evening. "It's priceless," she'd said. "Don't lose it." I stood up, slow. My legs were steady now. Calm. Like I was walking into a storm I'd already made peace with. The room was full, music playing soft, clinks of silverware and wine glasses, laughter echoing off marble walls. I walked straight across the floor, past servers, past guests, past two photographers who didn't even lift their cameras. Probably didn't recognize me without Dana attached to my arm. I didn't stop until I reached her table. She was mid-sentence, holding court with Sabrina and Colton's parents, laying on the charm like she was born in pearls. I reached out and placed the ring right next to her plate. It made the faintest clink against the china. Dana blinked, confused. What are you? I'm done, I said. Calm, clear, final. Her mouth dropped open. Sabrina went pale. Colton leaned forward like he'd just missed the punchline. Dana grabbed my arm. Mason, wait. What are you doing? People around us went quiet. Utensils stopped moving. Conversations dropped off mid-sentence. Chairs shifted. Eyes turned. I didn't answer her. I didn't need to. I turned and walked out. Behind me, I heard chairs scraping, voices rising. Colton. Wait. What the hell is going on? Sabrina. It's nothing. Just Mason being dramatic. Colton's mother. Is this how your family treats people? Public exclusion. Colton. This is embarrassing. If this is how your sister runs things, what the hell am I marrying into? Dana. Please, everyone just calm down. Colton again. You know what? No, we're done. You can keep your party. I'm out. His father's voice firm, deep. Pull the campaign sponsorships. All of them. Sabrina shrieked something. I couldn't make it out. I kept walking. Didn't run. Didn't look back. Out the double doors into the humid Carolina night. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel righteous. I felt done. Everything that came next, the fallout, the yelling, the collapse of their golden little castle, that was all on them. Me? I just walked away with my dignity. And for the first time in a long, long time, that felt like enough. The second the mansion doors shut behind me, I pulled off my tie and took the deepest breath I'd had in months. The night air in Raleigh was thick and muggy, but it still felt cleaner than anything inside that ballroom. I stepped off the curb, flagged the first cab I saw, and climbed in. Where to? The driver asked. Downtown, I said. Just drive for a minute. He nodded. No questions. No small talk. Just silence and taillights as we pulled away from the chaos. Dana's name lit up my phone on the first ring. I declined the call. Ring 2. Ring 3. Then the text started. Where are you? Mason, answer the phone. We need to talk now. What the hell are you doing? You embarrassed me in front of everyone. Don't ruin this over your pride. I turned the phone face down on my thigh. She didn't stop. 30 calls. Over 40 texts. By the time we hit Morgan Street, I scrolled through and saw the one that made me laugh out loud. You're blowing this out of proportion. I told the driver to head to an address I hadn't used in over a year, the apartment I kept just in case. Top floor, no frills, small kitchen, 1 bedroom. A leftover from the version of me that still knew how to sleep without grinding his teeth. I'd held onto it through the marriage. Paid rent every month. Not because I thought things would go bad, but because something in me always expected they might. I walked up the steps, unlocked the door, and stepped into the silence. The air smelled stale and a little dusty, like it hadn't been lived in. But it was mine. My couch, my dishes, my half-stocked fridge with nothing but eggs and beer. I dropped the suit jacket on the floor and kicked off my shoes. No welcome home. No performance. No pretending. Just quiet. I showered, made a fried egg sandwich, and lay down on the old mattress. My phone buzzed across the room on the nightstand. I didn't check it. I stared at the ceiling and waited for the restlessness to hit. But it didn't. I slept like a goddamn rock. Next morning, sun in my face, I grabbed my phone and scrolled past the barrage of messages. Dana was still spiraling. We can fix this. Please don't talk to anyone yet. Don't throw away our marriage over one night. My mom says we should all sit down and talk this through, right? Her mom says. Figures. I opened my contacts and tapped Marcus's name. We'd been college roommates in Wilmington. He'd gone on to law school, I'd gone into consulting. We grabbed beers every few months, but I always kept him in my back pocket for exactly this kind of moment. He picked up on the second ring. Mason. Long time. Everything all right? I didn't waste time. You still handle divorce cases? He didn't even pause. Yup. You want the quick route or the brutal one? Clean. Legal. Fast. He exhaled like he'd just stretched. Then you're lucky you called me first. I told him everything, the house, the finances, the separate lease. He asked for paperwork and I already had it saved. He whistled low. She's got no claim to your property. You never put her name on title? Never even offered. He laughed. Then this won't take long. You're in a solid position, man. It was the first time in years I felt like I wasn't losing ground just by standing still. By noon, he'd emailed me a full breakdown. Filing options, state-specific laws, a checklist of things to ignore and things to gather. I made coffee, sat by the window, let the steam fog the glass. No one called me by the wrong name. No one criticized my shoes. No one made me earn my place at my own damn table. The quiet didn't feel lonely. Felt like a reset. By the end of that first week, Dana showed up at the apartment. No warning, just loud knocks, perfume cloud in the hallway, tears already loaded in her voice. She called it a rough patch. Said we could recenter. I said no. She came back 2 days later, sobbing harder, holding old photos like props. She brought up memories, tried to crack my shell with guilt. We built a life, Mason. Are you really throwing that away? Yeah. I was, and I didn't flinch. Then came the Whitmore machine. Celine called twice. Curtis sent a lawyer who just wanted to talk. Even Sabrina texted me once. This is toxic, Mason. You're hurting her brand. I blocked the number. The papers got served 3 weeks later. Marcus made sure it was clean, fast, and ironclad. No spousal claims, no access to the house, no angle for a payout. She didn't fight it, maybe couldn't. Word spread fast. People whispered. Headlines softened the truth. High-profile family under stress. But the sponsors didn't care. 2 board members resigned. A news segment Dana's mom taped got pulled mid-season. A fundraiser they planned with Colton's family vanished without a trace. Turns out, when your whole life is smoke and mirrors, it only takes one crack to bring the whole damn thing down. Months passed. I worked, traveled, fixed up the old apartment and started living like it was mine again. Not just something I kept in case I needed to run. One Sunday, I took my neighbor's golden retriever to the dog park. She was out of town, and the dog needed energy burned. I threw a ball, grabbed a coffee, and sat on a bench with no expectations. That's when Leah sat down beside me. Blue windbreaker, no makeup, freckles like she'd spent most of her life outside. She had a border collie that wouldn't stop circling the bench. Sorry, she said. He thinks sitting is a command for me, too. I laughed. Actually laughed. We talked. About dogs, bad coffee, small-town traffic, middle schoolers being hormonal monsters. She was a science teacher at a public school near Cary. Nothing flashy. Nothing curated. Just real. We didn't flirt. We didn't posture. We just were. And the weirdest part? I didn't feel the need to prove a damn thing. No scripts. No expectations. No silent judgment tucked behind a smile. Just a woman who liked dogs, coffee, and sarcasm. And didn't care what kind of boots I wore. And for the first time in years, I wasn't trying to keep up. I was just being. And somehow that felt like more than enough.